Welcome back to the morning show here on Arise News. Joining us now is OjyOkpe with stories trending around the world. Hello, Jinx.
Good morning,
Double
Dr.
greetings.
Yes.
Thank God it's Friday.
TGIF, yes.
Happy International Women's Day.
But of course,
I don't know why you ladies are not wearing purple.
We shouldn't be wearing purple today, but you have a little bit of purple. Yes. You're always right. Okay. But this morning is not so fantastic because, you know, we've had those abductions yesterday. Yes. You know, I dress in the mood of the nation. But happy Women's Day to all our women viewers out there and my Ayomide.
Thank you so much.
You know I call you Ayomide. I have to call you
and
Ayomide.
I want to celebrate you today, International Women's Day. And just as a testament to that, this brooch was actually a gift from Oji. So I'm wearing it to show that women do support women.
Yes,
it's so great. It's not just what you see on here, but even behind the scenes.
Absolutely.
So happy International
Women's Day. You're so sweet. I see that you do love it. I've seen you wear it a couple of times.
I'm like, I have to stop.
I always smile when I see it. Thank you, Ayo.
Thank you.
Well, all right. Happy Women's Day. Well, let's begin what's trending. As the world marks International Women's Day today, leaders from across the globe, including Nigeria's President Bola Tinubu, joined women in the celebration. The president, in his Women's Day message, said that the theme of this year's International Women's Day, Invest in Women, Accelerate Progress, fits well within his administration's policy initiatives on educating and empowering women, not only through inclusion in governance, but also by ensuring that they remain relevant in the development process across all sectors of the economy. The Nigerian Air Force have also celebrated their airwomen in this video released today.
Every 8th of March, the Nigerian Air Force joins the rest of the world to celebrate the International Women's Day in recognition of the contributions of women from all walks of life in imparting positively our nation in diverse areas. No wonder then that today, the Nigerian Air Force as a service stands as a beacon of hope and gender equality, free of bias, stereotypes, and discrimination. Aside their roles as personnel of the Nigerian Air Force, we must also recognize and appreciate the all-important roles our airwomen play in their various homes as daughters, wives, and mothers.
Happy International Women's Day from the airwomen of the Nigerian Air Force. Inspire inclusion.
Well, all right. You know, kudos to the Nigerian Air Force. They always celebrate their airwomen. But I also want to take this opportunity to also remember our Tolulokpe Arotile, 24-year-old, our first female combat helicopter pilot who died, you know, in a freak accident back in, I believe it was on July 15th, you know, just at the age of 24. May her soul continue to rest in peace. I mean, we have to continue to celebrate our women. What are you most proud of today, Ayo? I also want to note that the First Lady of Nigeria has also sent her message. She talked about the fact that it is important to invest in women. I mean, not investing in them as charity, but the fact that women can really change the world.
All right, I'm proud of the fact that women remain resilient in the face of glass ceilings, oppositions, discriminations, bias and prejudice. Nigerian women in particular must be praised. From the mothers to the farmers to the motorcyclists in the South and different parts of the world. Against all odds, women keep shining, and we've had such fantastic exports as well. I saw Her Excellency Amina Mohammed, Mohammed. I saw there Dr. Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala, the first female and black DG of the World Trade Organization. We've had so many phenomenal women against all odds. So I salute that. And that we've seen women rise in, even though the numbers are abysmal in terms of political participation, we have seen, nevertheless, we always have a representative in terms of presidential races. And that's kudos to Honorable Uju Ohane. She was the only female candidate in the APC party. So I must commend her for her guts and her resolve, even though she didn't clinch the ticket. But what I'm most proud of, I must say, are the women who have gone ahead of us and who have shown us that it is possible. We can do it. And in particular today, I want to celebrate three sisters who are pilots the Makinde sisters, very young, Nigerian sisters. And so today I want to really spotlight them and to all women who are excelling in male-dominated jobs. Congratulations and well done. Really proud.
Absolutely right. I am also most proud of women that have gone ahead of us. And one of them is Dora Akumili, who was, Nigeria's finest professor and former head of NAFDAC. She's done us really proud. And, may her soul continue to rest in peace. She's one of the women that I admire. Of course, Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala, Chimamanda Ngozi Adichie, the list goes on. Dr. Vati.
Okay, yes, the colors for International Women's Day, purple, which is about strength and dignity. What does it say? Women are strong, women have dignity. Green, which is about hope. White, which is about purity. And of course, the theme for this year, investment in women, accelerating progress. There's no doubt that Nigerian women, just to talk about our own experience here, have excelled across all fields. Even in the making of Nigeria, you have had women in the forefront of the struggle of the making of Nigeria. Either you are talking about Mrs. Funmilayo Ransom Kuti, or down the line, Margaret Ekpo, or down the line, Gambo Sawaba, or Ladi Kwali, in poetry, so women continue to distinguish themselves. You come to more contemporary times, Chimamanda Adichie, Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala, Dora Akunyili. These are women that have proven they are made to, and have shown that this glass ceiling, really does not exist if you can break through it. Now, where does this challenge lie? Not just in Nigeria, but elsewhere. It's about expanding the scope, the space for women participation, for women representation, for reproductive freedom. And here in Nigeria, the big problem that we have is about the political representation of women. And I go back to what President Tinubu said. He says his government is committed to inclusion, his government is committed to enhancing women representation. But the big elephant in the room is that despite the lip service that Nigerian leaders pay to enhancement of women participation, in the last election, I keep saying it, we had 13,725 male candidates across all categories of election. We had just a little over, 3,000 women. At the end of the day, in the National Assembly, you had 4% representation of women in the House of Reps, 3% representation of women in the Senate, which is a drop of 90% from the 2019 general election. So really, we're not making progress. If you want to accelerate progress for women, then you must give them voice. So Nigerian women, despite their great achievements that we celebrate today, have not been given that voice. Can President Tinubu commit himself to working together with the legislators to accelerate the progress of Nigerian women? Not by giving them tokenistic appointments. Okay? Oftentimes, all the governors or the presidents who say we are giving women strong appointments, some of those ministries they give to them are not really very strategic ministries. But the more important thing is to expand the scope for women. And that is why I cited the example of Senegal, Rwanda, South Africa, Ghana next door. These are countries where there is support for women, either through legislation or through established party practices. So, for example, the African National Congress says women in politics must be 50%. And then also, within national life, 50% also. And that's the pattern in South Africa. In Senegal, it's even higher than 50%. It's about 62%. In Nigeria here, can we come to the realization that Nigerian women represent half of the population? They are the ones who go out to vote, mostly. And they vote for these men who get to power. And when these men go back home, they are the ones who are the mothers, who look after the men. Why is it that they are not properly represented in public life?
Absolutely.
In addition to all of that are the other issues about reproductive freedom and, freedom to choose and all of that.
Right, absolutely.
Anyway, congratulations,
Thank
women.
you.
It's your day.
Yes, absolutely.
I hope the two of you sitting next to me here, you know that there are implications.
There are always implications, and you know that we are
Implications should come from Dr. Abati.
No, we're
celebrating.
You are up to the task.
We're up to the task.
We're not going to celebrate on International Men's Day. We're not implicating anything.
Okay, we say inspire inclusion. Yeah. Well, all right. Happy Women's Day. Let's take another story. Well, let's take reactions to the kidnappings in Kaduna State, where terrorists stormed the government secondary school in Chikun local government area of the state on Thursday morning, according to a teacher in the school who narrowly escaped. At least 280 students were kidnapped. The governor of the state, Uba Sani, has assured the people of the state that he will do everything within his powers to ensure the safe return of the abducted students.
What I can say here is that by the grace of God, under my able leadership, we will try as much as possible to ensure that every child return by the grace of God, inshallah. We are doing our best. I'm going to work with the community leaders. I want to work with the traditional rulers here, as well as the youth, to ensure that every child return back home by the grace of God.
Well, all right. It's good to see that the governor, reacted swiftly by going to the school and also addressed the people of Kaduna State. But this is quite absurd at this moment. I mean, the call for state police cannot even be more louder at this point. I believe I spoke to some people at the government house, and they talked about the fact that about 57 children escaped. 57. I just spoke to somebody early this morning in government house. About 57 of them have come back, or they escaped from that incident. But I mean, it really borders down to securing our school system. Yeah. I heard you earlier this morning what has been done. I mean, 280 of them were kidnapped in broad daylight, early morning. And it's not just in Kaduna State this is happening. It's been happening in different parts of Nigeria, different states in the north. Let me take a tweet, if you can pull up that tweet, from Isa Mubarak, who wrote, 200 abducted in Borno, 280 school children abducted in Kaduna, 20 plus university students were abducted in Zamfara 7 months ago. These are the ones that made it to the news. Only God knows what happens in those remote villages. And that's the pertinent question there. These are the ones that have been reported.
Yes.
What are the security agencies doing at this point? Well, in the meantime, the President of the Senate, Godswill Akpabio, just a day before the kidnappings, said that the insecurity level in the country has reduced drastically since President Bola Tinubu took office on May 29, 2023. Akpabio made the statement while contributing to a debate on a motion regarding the recent killings in Benue State. He noted that while the latest attack was an aberration, there was a recorded decrease in the frequency of major killings across the country.
I've not heard any comment from the government of Benue State. If 50 people are killed, or more than 50, and communities are being attacked, we will expect that the governor will either cry out or marshal out plans with the immediate security operatives within the Benue State to see what he can do before we start bringing the issue to the president. And I want to also assure you that President Bola Tinubu, though he has not stayed long in office, is very concerned and supportive of the armed forces. And by the time the Senate meets with him, in conjunction with the House of Representatives, I believe that the resolutions that will come out with will benefit the entire country. It's a fact that, yes, since his assumption of duties, insecurity has abated. Major attacks are no longer taking place, but this one is just an aberration. And it will be brought to an end.
Seeing the Senate president here again, I mean, I don't know, speaking out of context, I don't know where he's getting his information from. Insecurity has reduced. Dr. Abati.
Okay, well, when the Senate president says insecurity has reduced, this is what government people say, government spokespersons. That's the claim they make. Didn't you hear the same thing under the Buhari administration? Now the Tinubu administration is also towing the same line, just to reassure the people. But I doubt if the Senate president can say this openly on the streets of Plateau State.
Yes. Nope.
All those local governments in Plateau State where houses have been attacked, repeatedly 2-3 times. I doubt if you can say that on the streets of Benue State that insecurity has reduced. I doubt if you can go to Chikun local government or Kachia local government of Kaduna State and tell the people and say insecurity has reduced. Now, if we take insecurity in an expanded sense, because insecurity doesn't only refer to your physical security, the threat to you physically. Food insecurity that we have been talking about, as food insecurity reduced, and the Senate President says, what has happened in Benue is an aberration. Is it an aberration? What Nigerians have realized is that they are not safe at home.
No.
They are not safe on the streets. In fact, their stomach is no longer safe. Demons of hunger are threatening, their stomachs,
right,
because government has not been able to provide food for them. However, the only part of the Senate President's submission is that he says, well, the Senate would approach President Tinubu and work together with the President to see how plans can be worked out to make Nigeria a much safer place. That is what we want to hear.
Yeah.
But we don't just want to hear promises, okay, about or giving us hope, assuring us that things that have reduced, that have not reduced, have reduced. The people just want results.
Yes.
It's almost 1 year when we are hoping that President Tinubu will give his own State of the Union address. He cannot come on May 29 and still be telling us to be patient and that he's promising and he's giving us hope. No, hope is not enough to address the demons of our stomachs.
Wow, demons of our stomach. I'd like to go on both stories, really, just to juxtapose the fact that, there were those kidnappings in Kaduna State and the President of the Senate saying insecurity has reduced.
So, following the spate of insecurity and kidnapping of children in schools,
yes,
there was a coalition between government and the private sector, and with funding from the support funding from the United Nations to set up what is called the Safe School Initiative. And with that happening, the UN Envoy on Education, Special Envoy on Education, Gordon Brown, had mentioned and launched the $10 billion fund with promised counter-funding from the private sector. Since then, did you see the state of the school?
Yes, there was. It
was open. It didn't look like a school. This is the kind of place that we are sending our children to go to, in a place where there are heightened concerns around security. Beyond that, in 2022, December 2022, another huge noise was made around 1.4 billion naira being invested in Safe School Initiative in Nigeria. Where has the money gone to? Was it disbursed? Who was paid for it? And why are children still in unsafe environments in institutions of learning? This is very sad, Oji, because the children are as young as 8 years old.
Yes, that's
their only crime is that they went to school and they're in pursuit of education.
Yes.
Especially in the north, we have a massive out-of-school children challenge. And yet, when you hear things like this, what is the incentive for parents to send their children to school? Parents would rather have their child alive than going to school and being kidnapped without, hopefully, though, what we're hoping for is that the government would keep to their promise of bringing back the children. And so these are some of the things that we're facing. Beyond that, Senate President Akpabio's statement is actually an indication of why we still have these issues being persistent.
Yes.
A lack of, will I say, political will or seriousness to address the insecurity challenges that we have. When we keep telling ourselves untruths that, things are better, then we will not take the situation as seriously as we ought to do it. I would love to hear what he has to say about this. Is this another aberration? The reason why this has also persisted is the fact that where are the consequences?
Yes.
Where are the sanctions? Chibok happened in Benue State. Dapchi happened in Uba State. Now we have this in Kaduna State. What will happen will make a huge, there'll be headlines around this. Where are the arrests? What are the deterrents? So it's just like, oh, we'll do then 200 children being captured.
Certainly
where were the security agents, on this? So
they?
it's really sad.
Absolutely.
And I don't think this administration has demonstrated enough seriousness to see that they want to tackle this insecurity challenge, especially kidnapping, banditry, and terrorism in some parts of the state. It's very sad.
Well, all right. We'll take another story. As many Nigerians continue to lament over rising inflation in the country, the Minister of Finance and the Coordinating Minister of Economy, Wale Edun, has said that the 22.7 trillion naira printed by the Central Bank of Nigeria through Ways and Means overdraft under former President Muhammadu Buhari was responsible for the current inflation in the country. Edun stated this while briefing the Senate Committee on Finance in Abuja on Wednesday. He added that during the period, the printing of the naira in trillions was carried out without any corresponding productive activities.
We talked about the inflation, and you are helped to solve that. But where has it come from? It's come from 8 years of just printing money. And the issue is that that money was not matched by productivity. It's not like when you earn dollars and you bring the naira alongside it, although there's even a better way than that. But that's still not as bad. It's not as if the money is matched by productivity, increase in output. It is not. And what happened was that for 8 years, the weak were left to their own devices. It is the privileged few that took everything. That's the reality.
All right, Wale Edun made a statement there which is quite accurate, that the Ways and Means, the money was not matched by productivity, which is actually the fact. But I think you made a point, which is, the government with their untruths. I mean, is it really the reason for the inflation at this point? And this, video and this comment by Wale Edun has got a lot of Nigerians reacting and even pulling up documents from the, evidence. If we can pull those up where President Bola Tinubu back in 2020, asked the Buhari government to print more naira notes. And then there's another one where Tinubu told Buhari also back in 2020 to print more naira notes and suspend VAT. Dr. Abati, my question to you now is it really this past 8 years that has caused the inflation that we're experiencing at this moment?
Well, the Tinubu administration has been very consistent in saying that the economy was mismanaged under President Buhari. This is not the first time that Mr. Wale Edun, Minister of Finance and Coordinating Minister of the Economy, will make this point.
Yes.
He reiterated this point yesterday while appearing before an ad hoc committee of the Senate that was set up to investigate the abuse of Ways and Means. Now, before then, he had made the same point. CBN Governor Cardoso had said the same thing. Atiku Bagudu, Minister of Budget and National Planning, had said the same thing. But to go back to the specific point about Ways and Means, I see what you pointed out there, that President Tinubu, then as not president, in 2020, had advised the president to print more notes.
Yeah.
He was not president there. There are many other things that President Tinubu said when he was not yet in the saddle that Nigerians have reminded him about. Including saying, look, if Buhari was voted for in 2015, that in fact Nigeria will become an El Dorado within 6 months. Of course, the Buhari government will not transform Nigeria into any El Dorado. So, and there will be many more of those things that people will bring up. But now that President Tinubu is in the saddle, he's faced with the challenges.
Yes.
But the only thing that you can say about him is that he says, well, he knows that there is enormous responsibility. He's not running away from those responsibilities. He will address them. What Nigerians want are results. To go back to what Mr. Edun said, yes, Section 38 of the CBN Act of 2007 talks about the CBN advancing ways and means to government, and also talks about how, ways and means can be managed. And it does not recommend, issuance of bonds to address it, or the securitization of payments. When you borrow from government, you have to pay back. The problem with the Buhari administration was that there was an advancement beyond the threshold, defined also by the CBN Act, and there was also the abuse of it, violation of Section 38 of the CBN Act. So what he is now saying is that mismanagement, because the money, people are still asking, that money is actually 22.7 trillion. What did they do with it?
That's the question.
And he's saying if you don't use it to fund productivity, we will just use it to distort the economy.
Right.
And he says it's responsible for the inflation we have. It's responsible for even the food insecurity we have. One of the arguments at the time was that part of the money was being used for the Anchor Borrowers Program to empower farmers. What happened? What came out of it? Those are the questions he's raising. But there are other people, economics experts, who will say, okay, there has been an abuse, right? What do you do to those people who abuse Section 38? That illegality. And the experts also hope that the Tinubu administration will not repeat the same offense.
All right.
Because when government breaks the law, government puts all of us in trouble.
Absolutely. Well said. We'll take our final story. Well, a picture showing the governor of Niger State, Umar Bago, kneeling to greet President Bola Tinubu at the presidential villa has gone viral. Bago had visited the president at the presidential villa on Thursday ahead of his planned visit to Niger State to launch some machinery for large-scale agro-value chain development in the state. Well, many Nigerians have taken to social media to react to the governor's show of humility. If I can take this tweet, I'll try to take it higher before I come to you. It is a show of honor and respect for the elderly. It is from a man that is well brought up with family and African virtues without pride, irrespective of the position he finds himself in life. Kudos to the governor for demonstrating such humility to the elderly. Ayo,
there's a song that's come to my mind when I saw that picture. The Emperor, the Conqueror, the Lion.
It's the
thing about this feeling of emperor and this feeling of ultimate ruler. I think that's what would rub people the wrong way. You can't teach people how to show respect, if that's their culture. However, it's also, when it comes to optics and signaling, he's a governor of a state, and that's the president. We run a federalism. He governs his own people. It just speaks a lot of too much power and too much, a lot of bowing to the president, and so a stifling of the voices and reducing of the power of our governors. I don't think it's right. It might be respect, but I don't think it was right.
He's the second governor we've seen now. We saw Ododo the last time.
No, it's not just Ododo. Nasir Rufai was also famous for kneeling down.
For kneeling down.
However, two sides to it. This governor, he was born in 1974.
Young guy,
Tinubu is old enough to be his father. So if you are talking about culture, a 50-year-old boy kneeling down to a man that is almost 80, I don't see a problem.
No, I was 70.
Okay, sorry. I'm sorry.
It's not almost 80.
Okay, I messed up. Okay,
we have to check the
President Tinubu, 1952. Okay, thank you for that correction. So kneeling down is a show of respect. And then on Monday, President Tinubu is supposed to visit Niger State to launch a program, and he came to pay respects to the president. But, in the corridors of power, you'll be surprised. Some people crawl on the floor, just to greet the president. And you are right. The president of Nigeria is an emperor.
He is.
The constitution, in fact, makes him an emperor.
Absolutely.
If you don't want the president to be an emperor, look at the constitution and redo it.
Well said, Dr. Abati. Ayo, happy Women's Day. Thank you both for your great analysis, as always, on what's trending. Well, kudos to the Niger governor for his agro-development plan. Well, that's all I have for you guys on what's trending today. I'll see you all next week.